Bonjour.
Bonjour, santé, santé, santé. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Andy, for receiving us today at your wonderful restaurant, Babette. So please, can you briefly introduce yourself?
So, hi, Sean. My name is Andi Handke. I'm a chef from Switzerland and currently working and living in Zurich.
Wonderful. So what is Babette exactly? Can you tell me more about the concept and what's behind the purpose of Babette?
Mm-hmm. As you see, it's quite a small space, but very cozy and, in the center of Zurich.
Uh-huh.
So we are doing kind of bistro food, so very affordable, accessible, and focusing on like crepe and galette and some small other bites. In the weekend we do a lot of brunch.
Okay.
Also, like every weekend we have like specials where we celebrate certain things.
Okay. And so, if I'm not mistaken, you also ran 2 other restaurants. What about the other 2?
Yeah, cities are constantly changing.
Uh-huh.
So we were like classy victims of so-called gentrification. So the area where the 2 other restaurants were located turned into a very hip, cool area. So the prices raised like crazy.
Uh-huh.
And after being 100 years, the first place was 100 years a restaurant, and the second one was exactly 50 years a restaurant. They kicked us out of both places to gentrification. So restaurant number 1 is now a fancy gallery.
Okay, so totally different, yeah.
Restaurant 2 is now it's like a gym, a fancy gym.
Okay.
So and meanwhile we moved into here as well.
Okay, okay, makes sense. I wanted to talk about a topic that we both find very important. Over Casual Talks, we talked about how the system, the food system, is broken. What are your thoughts on that? What deeply upsets you, and what should we change to fix the food system? It's a big one. Take your time.
Yeah, no, I'm just, it makes me immediately angry.
Yeah.
When I think about, our food system, and I don't know where to start. It's broken on so many levels, and there's so many different issues. Child labor, who's taking the cashew nuts in India?
Absolutely.
From animal welfare, mass production, monocultures, food as a stock trading object. That's also completely wrong. That that you start to trade with these amounts of food, which is like have a direct impact on the price worldwide.
So you don't see the value of what food exactly. It's exactly speculation.
With grains and the connect with prices. Mm-hmm. Also, like using food as biofuel is for me a completely wrong.
I remember you mentioned that
point.
Yeah. Can you please elaborate on that? So this is a very important point. There's a lot of food that goes to waste, and that is either wasted or used for to produce gas. What are your thoughts on that? Like, why is it? It sounds great, but why is it bad?
Because people are starving, and we use enormous amounts of corn usually.
Uh-huh.
To produce gasoline, and we should move away from oil completely, and then it's just a really bad idea to replace it with like a food item. Meanwhile, people are starving.
Absolutely.
And there are like a lot of subsidies going into this business as well, which is also wrong, and it's again also destroying the value of the food itself.
So in terms now of food waste, as you know, this number is quite famous. 1/3 of the food we produce is either wasted or lost. So at the production level, distribution, consumption. What is wrong? What is systematically wrong in the food supply chain? Why these numbers are so big in terms of food waste?
That's also a very complex question.
I know, but
it's not a simple answer.
Obviously.
But again, we are just, I think, like we humans are disconnected to the way food is produced and to the value it should deserve. Mm-hmm. And because of the big grocery stores, of the retailers, they take a big responsibility in that problem. just because one thing is like the how you call it, the normification. You know, all the cucumbers need to have the same shape.
Yeah.
If they're not like exact the same
They
shape,
do not
they just-
accept differences,
There's
and
no-
they want the best all the time, and yeah.
Exactly. There's no space for like a bit of diversity. Let's call it like that.
Yeah,
You know, if a
definitely.
carrot is not completely perfect, it goes to waste.
Absolutely.
And that puts farmers under a lot of pressure. So if they don't produce like the perfect carrot, they are like losing their contracts, or they don't make money. So that's also pretty wrong. We know that a lot of food waste is like produced at home. Why is that? Because humans are not able anymore. We in the first world, we are not able anymore to recognize if food is gone bad or not, and we are not able to cook anymore at home. So if we open the fridge and we see, there's a yogurt, or it expired yesterday,
Yeah.
what do? We throw it away. We
Yeah.
buy a new one because it's so cheap as well. We don't open it, smell it, taste it, and see, it's totally fine still, and then we eat it. No, we throw it away. The same if we go through the fridge at home and we see there's like a little, we have a carrot, we have a bit of onion, we have a bit of tomato sauce left. Instead of like being creative and create like a soup or stew or whatever, it's easier to throw it away and to replace it. So it's from like the producer level to the grocery stores, to the big companies, till the consumer. There's always.
But what you mentioned, it's, if I'm not mistaken, an education problem as well. Like, it's very important to educate people on what can be done even at home, and just know that that yogurt is maybe good for a couple more days. Know that you can cook, you can use so much of a product, for example, vegetables and all, you can use way more than you're actually using. So this education aspect is really important as well, right?
Yeah. And whose responsibility is that? Is it the government? Is it the school? Is it the parents who should give it further to the kids? Also there, I think we really should start in a very early stage.
I agree with that.
Again, to reconnect, let's say, our kids to food. So if they like have a school garden, or they do like excursions to farms, that they really reconnect to animals and to plants, they also start to appreciate more the value of the food, and maybe also think a bit more about it and just waste less.
Absolutely, absolutely. So now let's talk a bit more about Babette. It's often described in the media as an example in terms of sustainable gastronomy, not only on the environmental side, but also social and economic side. So do you have a few examples of what you do here at Babette to be an example?
You know, for me, it's like a restaurant is not just like a place where you just consume and eat. For me, it's like, as it was in the past, it's like kind of a fireplace where you gather around, you know, have like a big table.
To socialize.
And it's a place to meet. And for me, it's very important that we open just the space for people to meet. And how we do that? So one format I developed, or I started now this year a bit more like with a harder focus, is like we do like soirée végétale, where I do like 6-7 courses, like farm to table. I go on a farm, take all the produces from one farm, create the menu with different focus topics around, you know, from healthy soil to biodiversity to climate, tradition, handcraft, development of regions was the last one. So then I cook each course, I serve it at the table, and I explain each course, which are the connecting points to the world, to the soil, to the soul, and that has a really big impact on the guests, because they really reconnect and think a bit more. So, crazy. Healthy soil, it's important. Biodiversity is important for bees. Bees are important for this and that, and they just appreciate their food more.
Absolutely.
So each guest goes out like, oh wow, like thrilled and inspired.
Because you help them connect more with food, as you mentioned before, right?
And on a very joyful way. And that's important for me, that I'm not like teaching or preaching like the Pope and say, you have
like
to
this
do this and that. So just like think how your own consumption can change the world in a joyful way. So just cooking and eating is so joyful and lovely.
Yeah.
And that's very inspiring. So that's a way I try to educate or like nudge the people a little bit.
Yeah.
That has a social impact. Then another thing we do is like we have a little money pork, like Sparschwein,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
So
yes.
it's written on the menu. If our guests want, they can donate amount X, whatever they want. And I have like this account. I collect the money, and we have like people which are living here in the surrounding, and they come like daily to eat for free. So
using the
out
money
of
that other
money,
guests dropped.
I finance
Yeah.
their meals. Or if I go now to Geneva to do like other social projects, I take the money out of this pot, and I can talk about it. So it's like giving the good feeling to my guests, but also so I can channel the money in a sustainable way, in a social way.
And this first of all, this is wonderful. And I remember you mentioned that sometimes you would welcome people for free, but they would maybe have to do like, you know, a bit of cleaning, a bit of just to involve them in the process, so they can also feel like they're having an impact. It's meaningful to them, and yeah, that's an important point as well. It's not just about the money; it's about giving them some kind of purpose and let them feel they're meaningful as well.
Exactly. So like one person we have, like it's a lady. She's 87. She's like completely alone. She's not able to cook. But here, and she's alone. You know, it's so sad. And here she found kind of a family. So if she comes here, other guests know her. She knows our waiters. She brings me presents like a cap or like small things, and that's super sweet from her. You know, and I love to like take her presents as well. And there we have like a drug addict. After a while, I asked him, "Hey, what's your name?" You know, and he said, "Like, yeah, you know, I'm XX." And then he was barely crying because I was the first time since years, you know, living on the streets that somebody asked his name, because he's like just like a shadow, you know, begging for money, but nobody sees him, like really sees him. You know, it's really hard if you beg for money the whole day and you're like treated like shit. So he comes to change his coins here to have like a place to sleep and gets a coffee and a sandwich. But he was so sad for me that he was like, "Oh, thank you, Andy," you know. Nobody asked me this. I'm not a human anymore, and that's also so important to have like an open space where just welcome people.
Wow, this is very, very inspiring. So first, congrats for all your work. And quick question, what can other restaurants, hotels, organization in the food industry can do to also have an impact? So you mentioned some of the things you do, but what simple things can they do as well?
Collaborate.
Okay.
That's a big part of my job as well. I try to also like collaborate with other restaurants to kind of inspire them or like to work together. I give also courses, and that's more like tangible food waste. So I just hand them out tools where they can measure their food waste. You know, easy Excel sheets.
Yeah.
Give them some tools like a ladle, like whatever. Very easy. It's very easy to measure food waste, and it has directly an impact because you see, we waste like milk because we give too much milk. In the end we spare money. So you spare money, you spare time, and you can talk about it. So it's nothing bad, because a lot of people think, sustainability or cooking organic or plant-based, it's so complicated. Yeah. No, it's not. And you have just to start somewhere at some point, and then
and have a framework,
right,
I guess, and
so I can deliver that. I'm also part of like the Chef's Manifesto, Chef's Alliance from Slow Food.
Yes.
So I also create events or co-create events with others, focusing on like food waste. We do this food waste banquet for 500 people every year. And just talk about it. And,
definitely.
And I don't about systems. I don't want to create or repair a broken system. We are creating a new system and replace the old one. I think it's like too much waste energy to change a broken system. Replace it with a better one. Okay. That's what we do. Okay, makes sense.
You mentioned the Chef's Manifesto. I think this is very powerful. This is great. Can you please tell us more about what the Chef Manifesto actually is?
It's a manifest which was created by like 130 chefs worldwide. It's under the SDG 2 advocacy hub. And it's focusing on the role or the power of the role of the chefs, because chefs are between producers, farmers, like cooking and consumers. So we have a very powerful role to focus on a lot of topics. And this manifest is like divided in 8 key areas with different focuses and bring a lot of solutions to each area. So it's kind of a tool which should enable chefs to see how important their role is, and giving a very easy tool to like celebrate their job. You know, they can focus on, let's see, biodiversity. How do I do that? Like this.
Yeah.
Then they can start.
Yeah.
And it also kind of gives you a sense of belonging, because we are a really strong global community, and that's also very nice that you don't feel alone. You belong to a community, and you're not alone doing your job.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Last question. Can you describe Babette in 3 words? What's come to mind to define this whole concept?
Cozy.
Okay.
Family.
Yeah.
And I don't know what's the English word for if you are
responsible.
Fullness.
Yeah, like
not respectful, but full of responsibility. So you're responsible.
Yeah, you're committed, maybe, or you are engaged.
No, we take our responsibility very serious.
That's perfect. Thank you so much. Is there anything you want to add? Last comments from your end?
No, but it's just thanks for being part of this journey.
Yeah.
And I'm very, very happy to see more and more like young people creating like huge impact all around these different SDGs, and it's so important because we are fucking up our planet, also your planet, but you know, we are soon dead, you all not.
Yeah.
You.
Thank you so much, Andi. Thank you so much. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you.